Today, we will talk about incentives alignment. For too long, agreements between service providers and buyers have been mostly used as risk allocation tools. We spend too much time on clauses like indemnification or limitation of liability, and too little time on scope of services, expected results, and guarantees for buyers and vendors alike. My guest, Zach Beegal, has built a career engineering value-driven agreements that focus on aligning incentives between partners. From his days as a senior consultant at Deloitte to his entrepreneurship journey, this has been his focus and North Star. But how do you put these nice words about incentives alignment into practice? Well, stay tuned to learn the answer to this and many more questions as we dive deep into Zach's past, present, and future in today's episode of the Future of the Future podcast. Zach, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Mateo. Excited to talk about it and hopefully shed a little light on what we're focusing on at Copact, and really what every business should be focusing on is how do you create customer value?
Very good. Let's talk about your early career and influences, right? Could you share some insights into your early career and the experiences that shaped your professional journey?
Absolutely. I'll go all the way back to early days in college. I was a Penn Stater. Unfortunately, we just lost to Notre Dame, but that's okay. Was a finance and economics major. Really, a lot of my work focused on being, I was the video coordinator of the men's basketball team. Data, analytics, how do we get smarter? How do we get that slight competitive edge over great competition in Big Ten basketball? From there, I did my first internship at Pfizer. I had a great leader, Mary Pat Sadler, who showed me the ropes and really showed me the value of networking. And it's about who you know, not what you know, and the value of being a really great mentor. We're still very close to this day. From there, I started my career at Deloitte. Started as an analyst, first job out of college. Really found my niche in large-scale digital transformations. Anywhere there is people, process, and technology, that's where I thrived. I think that is the ultimate solution and the ultimate way to solve problems and create great impact. As I got a little more senior, as a senior consultant and a manager at Deloitte, I started to really work a lot in what we called value engineering and value-based billing. This was a unique way that Deloitte would work with clients to align incentives and outcomes. Instead of just bidding on a scope of work, we would bid the absolute minimum to cover our costs for our project and then share in the upside, whether it is engineering time reduction, whether it is manufacturing excellence, whatever the KPI or result would be for the customer, Deloitte would share in that upside and that value, and our fees would be dictated on it. This really stuck with me. It just seemed like the right way to run businesses, and I've kept that throughout my career. From Deloitte, I did my MBA at Kellogg Northwestern, made a lot of great friends, and really got the entrepreneurial spirit. I was a slightly later starter, not starting my entrepreneurial journey in my young 20s, more in my late 20s, early 30s, and we did Strive. So I came to Strive, very simple mobile benefits app, kind of your wallet. Very simple tool. Transform that into full-scale employee experience. Our mantra was, one employee's experience is an entire company's potential. How do we bring an entire employee's experience in one platform, one solution, integrated with your benefits, your payroll, your learning management, your talent, and how do we personalize that to each and every employee to get the most out of them? Very successful growing that, and was acquired by a private equity firm. From there, basically was able to exit, and then I was doing a bunch of startup advising, and that's where it's led me to Copact, where I founded my latest company, which I'll pause there because I'm sure we'll talk more about Copact in a minute.
We will. So you said something, that maybe you were kind of a late entrepreneur, and some people get into it in their 20s, and you did in your late 20s, starting in your 30s. But I've been talking to a lot of people that and reading a lot of stuff that says that actually that's sometimes better, right? And the experience that you have allows you to be a more successful entrepreneur. Do you feel that's the case with you, that the experience that you had made it easier for you to administrate things in a different way, or be better at it?
Yeah, I think there are pros and cons. I think early, it's you don't know what you don't know, but that's almost a good thing because you're
Right.
not risk adverse and you're fearless. You've never failed, you've never seen anything go wrong, and it's like, of course my idea is going to work, and you just have that undeniable belief and passion. As an older entrepreneur, what I found is connections, networking, my lessons learned, all these things are super valuable and probably helping me move a bit faster. I mean, we're going to have 30 to 35 partners onboarded within 3 months. We have our
Right.
first 10 clients, but I'm not as fearless as I was in my early 20s. But it's a good thing because people resonate, people trust me more, people know I have that brand and expertise. So I'm a little more risk averse now than I was. And I think that's kind of the pros and cons. I think young founders learn a ton on the road, learn a ton. But I know for me, Copact would not be as successful if I did this in my early 20s. I wouldn't have the network, I wouldn't have the connections, I wouldn't have the lessons learned. But maybe if I spent more years doing it, it would just take me longer to potentially get a similar outcome.
Got it. And then you said when you were doing the MBA, that's when really you started thinking about entrepreneurship in a different way. Why? What happened during that MBA? Was it seeing your peers and seeing that some of them were entrepreneurs? Was it some of the subjects that you have and the topics that you were looking at? What changed with SAC during that MBA?
Yeah, it definitely. One, I always recommend the 1 year Kellogg MBA. It was a transformative experience for me. My classmates and now friends and colleagues. Yeah, it was seeing what they were doing and seeing what was possible. You know, you come in, and I was definitely on the younger side. Typically, the consultants were a younger cohort, and then 1Y was traditionally an older group. But just seeing them feeling like and talking about their businesses where they felt ownership, where they felt like their impact made a really big difference. I felt that at Deloitte, but I knew I was one of a giant cog in a machine. I wanted to get to a place where my wins actually were big wins for the company and I was able to reap the benefits of it. That was my big realization of I could have a very successful career at Deloitte. Partners at Deloitte do extremely well. It's probably the highest probability path for me to be very successful financially and very comfortable. But I knew no matter how big a partner I became, I was never going to get that feeling of that small company, that opportunity to really shape the vision and the trajectory of an organization and reap the bigger benefits and reap the bigger opportunities. And that the whole MBA experience really opened my eyes to, okay, I don't think I'm going to I don't want to become a partner at Deloitte. I want to go somewhere smaller where I feel like my impact and what I do makes a bigger difference.
Got it. And then let's go to Copact. What really inspired you to establish Copact, and what specific challenges are you aiming to address with this venture?
Absolutely. So, as we mentioned before, kind of my whole career has been around B2B alignment. I spent my whole career of how do businesses work together to make extraordinary things happen, whether it's $100 million digital transformation projects, all the way down to how do I work with companies to help improve their employee experience. One common theme and one common problem always came up throughout the entire journey of my career. And that is just that there is a fundamental disconnect between B2B buyers and B2B sellers. On the buying side, you constantly hear, and with AI and chatbots and all of this, it's only getting worse. People are inundated with messages. They're getting thousands of messages depending on your role and title, and you have no idea how to navigate the noise. You also have no trust in the market. Even established brands, you don't fully trust them. You don't fully trust what you're going to get out of a specific product and service. And that requires a leap of faith. And lastly, most people and people that have been in this a long time have buyer's remorse. You have been overpromised and underdelivered on the products and services you buy over and over again. So you are scarred. On the selling side, it's not much better. It's almost impossible to get a prospect's attention in this current climate. When you do finally get a client, they expect magic. They expect all the results, no collaboration, no work with them, with a partner. They just want to turn it on and they want results. This is causing a ton of churn and retention in the B2B space. And we're seeing billions, if not trillions of dollars being lost every year because of this churn and this lack of productivity. This is the core mission that Copact wants to solve. We want to turn and transform those vendor transactions, historical vendor transactions, into partnerships that guarantee results. And we have our unique framework of the way we do it. We do think there will be other competitors in the B2B space that attack it in different ways. What we are confident is the way B2B is today, the way the SaaS market is today, is not the way it will look in 5 years. And that change gives a lot of people an opportunity to jump into the market and make a big difference because the B2B space is enormous.
So where are things today? What are your current areas of focus, and what's coming next? What are your objectives in the near and the long-term future?
Absolutely. So Copact today is pretty fresh. We're on month 3. We started mid-November of 2024. The idea has been ruminating, but today we kind of think of ourselves as a platform or an ecosystem. So we really evaluate our progress of how well are we serving the markets that we're working in. So for clients, and we define clients as businesses that are buying products and services. Based on our analysis, businesses typically spend 10 to 15% of their revenue on B2B products and services. So it's a big portion of what you're spending and doing. We're focusing SMB mid-market. We think this is the quickest way we can get wins. It eliminates some of the potential procurement delays, complexity, and a lot of things in enterprise. So we're going to start smaller. We have 10 clients onboarded today. When we talk about a client being onboarded, that means we've done kind of the first phase of our process, which is called advise. This is where we do a diagnostic of the health of the company. We look at and just evaluate it as like a white glove concierge service. We evaluate a company's health and we earmark and look at how are we going to build growth and value moving forward. We evaluate their revenue growth, op efficiency, tech transformation, brand equity, and talent success. We align on North Star KPIs for each, and then what sub KPIs or results are needed for each. We believe this is the way that marketplaces and platforms are really going to interact with B2B. You need to understand your customers and your clients and that business before I can give any advice of who they should work with. Then we have 20 impact guaranteed partners. It might be 40 by the end of the month. We have a nice cohort coming on as well. And these are B2B providers that are confident in what they can deliver. They are willing to provide what we call impact guarantees. Impact guarantees are, hey, we're going to work together and we're going to focus on these specific KPIs or results. It could be pipeline generation, lead to sales conversion, operational cost reduction, AI, automation, digital transformation, brand awareness, or even employee retention or experience score. These partners are the best of what they do, and they want the opportunity to connect with clients and put skin in the game on that collaboration. So the way Copact monetizes is we get a 10% revenue share of successful engagements, and each partner puts up to 30% of their fees at risk. So clients that work with us know they're going to get their results, or they're going to get 40% of what they paid back to them. And that is the ecosystem where sharing risk, sharing upside, sharing opportunity is really moving in our perspective. And that's where Copact's at. In terms of your question of today versus where we're headed, today, we're basically a 90% service company. We are generally small, 10 clients, 20 to 30 partners, and we have what we call impact advisors, support about 70 of them. Where this is going and where we think the ultimate success is going to be is when we start to productize this and really enable this service that we have today as a software and kind of flipping the SaaS model upside down. Focused on how do we enable AI, machine learning, data analytics to really start to drive and enable each area of focus. So advise, how do we connect with a company's data? How do we analyze the data without forcing them to go through multiple meetings with a person? How do we constantly do that? Matching. How do we use algorithm in our past data and information to continuously match clients and partners to be more successful? Tracking. How do we integrate into your overall ecosystem to ensure we have the latest data? And then elevate. How do we use the thousands, hopefully one day millions of engagements on our platform to get better and better and more prescriptive at ensuring that B2B collaborations maximize their impact? That's kind of where we're at and where we're headed as Copact.
Got it. Um, as you were talking, there's a lot of work that happens in that assessment, in that sort of a due diligence, right? And having the right KPIs in place, I assume will have a major impact on the success of the relationship going forward, right? But I want to go back a little bit in time and ask you, when you started doing value engineering at Deloitte, um, how much of the success was dictated by that due diligence and by choosing the right KPIs? How much of it was about the relationship and both parties being able to adapt as they realize that maybe, hey, maybe we gotta change a little bit these KPIs, right? Sometimes things change. How do you see that? How does it work in your experience?
Yeah, I think it's almost a nice, in my experience, in good relationships, it's almost a 50-50 balance. At the end of the day, when we would do value engineering, value based billing at Deloitte, our goal was to create value. Now, we would have hypotheses of where the value would come from. But in the middle of a project, if we found that, oh my God, we're actually saving most of the value we're creating is lowering the defect rate of an assembly line, we would go and capture that as well. So it has to be that opportunity of, let's be honest, let's be transparent partners, and let's focus on the activities that we're doing, and let's make sure that we're open to what KPIs or results are going to come out of it. So it really is that hybrid balance of, we come in with an assumption, we come in with a hypothesis, we track and prove that out, but we have to be open throughout the journey of other areas and avenues that we can create value. And good clients and good partners and those good relationships do that, because the client knows, if I open this door up, my partner can create more value, and the partner knows I can create more value, thus I can increase my revenue and increase my profitability on the engagement. So I'd say it's a 50-50 of having the right KPIs, having the right metrics, but having that flexible, adaptable relationship with clients is really critical. And that's kind of where Copact comes in, because we're hoping to build this ecosystem and platform where that is much easier. Today, that takes years and years to build trust, years and years of case studies and information. Copact is trying to build that with two parties right off the jump. And we're going to give you our recommendations, our methodology, and our approach to successfully get there at a much faster pace than you would by yourself.
Perfect. So you've been, a senior consultant, you've been a founder, a CEO, you have many leadership positions during your career, right? How do you think your experiences have influenced your approach towards leadership and mentorship, especially in the tech industry? What do you see in yourself as a leader today?
Yeah, I think I've molded. I had very black and white. So I guess my journey of leadership started, high school sports. Leadership starts well before you enter the workforce. How do you lead within your classes? How do you lead within your sports teams? How do you lead within even your family? So my leadership style has changed drastically. And I would say one of the biggest things that's changed with experience and exposure to more situations is, I was very black and white. There was a right way to do things and a wrong way to do things. You either got results or you didn't get results. And I think the biggest maturation for me personally is, the world is gray. There's a ton of gray, and there is not one right way to do it. There's not one right way to handle a situation. So my leadership style has become much, much more flexible, where I almost like to say, kind of my personality and the brand personality we're using at Copact is compassionate contrarian. And the way we think about that is, you need to be compassionate. Compassion is something we sorely lack in the world today. You need to put yourself in other people's shoes, understand their perspective, their situation, but you need to be a contrarian. You need to push that envelope if you want to be a growth and highly successful in tech. So what I try and do in that brand personality, my personal personality, is really be a chameleon. How do I adapt my leadership style to the team and the individuals I'm working with? I can be the hey, let's meet every day, 5 p.m., have a debrief and a status call. I can be very, very prescriptive if you need me to be in meetings around sales, operations, marketing, product, whatever it may be. Or I could be the visionary leader for you. I can paint the picture of what the North Star looks like and let you go and attack and be there for you when you need my support. And I found you get wildly more successful as a leader when you adapt your style to the people you're working with. I do not believe in a one size fits all. If I've learned anything, it's the opposite. Everybody needs to be tailored and catered to a little bit. Every business is unique, every individual is unique. And if you want to optimize your results, you need to adapt and be agile with them for what they need. And it changes. My daughter just turned 1 year old. What I need and what I prioritize is wildly different than what it was a year ago. So
Yeah,
leaders need to constantly be evolving and adapting with their team. There's no one size fits all that's going to work.
I love it. I love it. It is. This has been one of the most fresh answers I've gotten on leadership style and being able to adapt and not just having a, fix or set, group of values, etc., but more like, okay, I can go where I need to go. I love it. Um, let's talk a little bit about SaaS 2.0. In your view, how has SaaS evolved from software as a service to service as a software, and what does SaaS 2.0 entail?
Yeah. So SaaS was a phenomenal time for tech companies. You were able to productize problems and solutions. You were able to give companies the tools, the data, the information, whatever your service was. You were able to put that in a software and allow clients to reap the benefits of it, of doing it better than the manual way or doing it better than the ways they were doing it before. Highly predictable, highly profitable, extremely successful. We are evolving as a world, as an entire world. We are evolving. The expectation is changing now with advances in technology, advances in AI, and advances of really consumer expectations. The days of dropping off a software or completing a project and saying, all good, pay me my full freight, are over. It's not happening anymore. Businesses expect the type of service and the type of partnership where there is tangible value being created. Great examples we see CRMs. You're seeing people start to build custom CRMs. The days of Salesforce and HubSpot just dropping off that software and saying, hey, you get what you take out of it, and paying for training and data cleanup on their own product, that is over. And it's not going to be over in like a split second. It's going to take time, but that is where people are going. What SaaS 2.0 is all about is, how do I create a service? How do I create an offering or value? And how do I use software and technology to enable that service? It's completely the right way that business should be run. How am I creating value? What is the value I'm creating? And the best companies in 2030, 2040 are not going to have internal metrics around their own revenue, their own profitability, their own brand awareness. It's going to be facing up, what is the customers doing? What value are we creating in the ecosystem? And we get to share a sliver of that percentage of what we create. And that's really where I see B2B going. That's really where I see SaaS 2.0 going. And I think it's going to be tough. And I think certain companies are really going to thrive in this model. And I think certain companies that have been really big giants are going to be slow to adapt, and they're going to struggle. And I think it's going to be really interesting, but I think it's exciting because I think you're going to get companies that come out and aren't just making money hand over fist without actually creating the reciprocal value in the ecosystem.
Right.
And that's what we want. I don't mind paying the Amazons, the Salesforces, the HubSpots, the open AIs of the world, as long as they're creating value and as long as they're helping me create value, they deserve their piece. What they don't deserve is create one standard solution that everybody uses and make 90 to 95% margins. That's not where the future is headed.
Do you think, with the elephant on the room, AI and everything, do you think we are going into a phase of hyper customization where like you said, right? The specific value for each of the customers is going to be tailored in a different way. What things excite you when you think about SaaS in the future and the landscape, but in terms of technology and what you will be able to do?
Yeah, as a former product manager, customization was always a bad word. You always
Right.
wanted to be configurable. So the way I think of it is it's not customization, it's personalization. How do you
Got it.
personalize it to the individual customer? How do you craft your solution to be perfect for your specific different ICPs? And I think that's where AI and the flexibility of generative AI and the flexibility of your software and the solutions and the services you're offering needs to be critical. Not where I'm trying to serve everyone. I'm trying to serve my market and my ICP in the best way possible for each and every individual. And I see technology finally enabling us and catching up to the point where we don't look at businesses as, this segment, this segment, this segment. Each and every business has a unique flavor to it. And with technology and where it's headed and the flexibility and the efficiency that we can drive with this new wave of technology, I think you're just going to see the biggest winners in the market are the ones that provide more and more personalized and tailored solutions versus, the behemoth. I can do everything for you, but you need to configure it. That's
Right.
not going to work. And that's really where I see the difference of it's not necessarily writing custom code. It's allowing your tool to be tailored to your individual client so they get the most value.
Got it. Um, have you heard? I think I read Satya Nadella was saying the future. In the future, it's all going to be AI agents, right? It's no longer about platforms. I think maybe there's a little bit of publicity stunt being played there. What are your thoughts when you hear that? It's more publicity, it's more reality. Do you think some of that is coming?
Yeah, I always take it with a grain of salt. Like these passionary, visionary leaders like to accelerate timelines. Like if you look, I believe it was Elon Musk in 2014 said in the next couple of years we're going to all have self-driving cars. That
Right.
hasn't happened yet. You see Sam Altman and OpenAI and different people coming out and saying there's going to be $1 billion one-person company.
Yeah.
They're directionally correct. I think the timeline is where they accelerate it too much.
Mm.
Now, do I think there is going to be a massive replacement of manual, tedious, knowledge based work that can be automated and done better by AI agents? Absolutely. But the creative piece is the piece that I still do not see AI in the next 5 to 10 years coming in and thinking through the holistic problem. Now, AI can make its own
Mm.
decisions and AI can get better and better as a knowledge base, as a support. But that strategic custom direction and strategy still relies on the people. So, what I'm hoping AI does, as other technologies have done, is really elevate the workforce and elevate individuals to take on more value added activities than potentially answering phones, scheduling meetings, answering simple customer tickets, automating certain tasks, reporting, and things like that. So what I'm hoping we can do as a people is really take us all up to the next level where we are doing things that we are passionate about that's value added, and AI and different technologies that come out are the ultimate enabler. Now, is that 5, 10, 15, 20 years? I don't know. It all depends how quickly we can adopt. It all depends how fast the technology is proven safe and how fast we are able to accept it. And that's going to really be the big thing. I generally, with all of the new innovations, I like to double or triple what the visionaries at the front like to say, because it's going to take longer to
Right.
adopt and accept it. So if people are saying next 5 years, probably 10 to 15. But it is coming. You should start interacting and leveraging AI no matter what work you're doing. And you're just going to be better, more productive, and more effective at what you do by leveraging and leaning into the technologies. There's no fighting it and saying it won't do certain things. It's going to be included. So might as well embrace it.
You you have a background in product, and you have that holistic vision and that critical thinking and that ability to zoom out, zoom in, etc. Right? Do you think will we go too far if we say, hey, everyone in technology should know about product, everyone in technology should understand what we say when we talk about product and be able to have that holistic vision? Let's say you are a software developer, you're working on a small bit, an API, whatever. That product understanding is going to get you to provide better results. But at the same time, in the future, as the AI keeps evolving and what, the stuff that you're coding can be done eventually by AI, um, that that holistic product vision is what is going to set you apart.
Potentially. I mean, so my thinking is many people would classify me as a generalist, industry agnostic, and that's why I'm able to zoom in and zoom out. And for my role of founding a company and leading different companies, that's a good fit. But there are always going to be people that are going to be more technical, more in the weeds that I rely on to give me sound advice of how do we do this and how do we make this vision real.
Right.
I don't think it depends on what you're looking for in your career. If you love being in the technology, you love being heads down and you don't have to interact with people, there will be roles like that. And there will always be roles like that. But if your goal is to be at the forefront of leading technology drives and building out that innovation, I think an element that you should be open to is that ability to see the broader picture. And the
Right.
best technologists, as I like to call them, that I worked with, and we actually just onboarded our new CTO, and I put him in this bucket, are the ones that know the technology inside and out, know the capabilities, and are always trying to discover new things, but always put it in the context of how are we creating value? What is this actually solving?
Right.
Technology just for technology is not super value. Technology with a purpose that's solving a critical problem, that's where it's important. And I think at the minimum, maybe not seeing the big picture, but knowing how what you're doing ends up in an end result, that's the minimum that I think we should require from our coders, our engineers, and our technology workforce. And as long as they know that, if they want to expand and be more at the forefront, of course they can learn more. But that minimum of understanding of what they do and what they're building and what's the end outcome they're trying to achieve with their customer base, that's where I see the best engineers and the best technology focused individuals.
Got it. Um, let's talk a little bit about motivation and personal drive. What drives you, right? What drives you to continue innovating in the tech industry? How do you keep this passion for work? It's Sunday, you're thinking about the week. What gets you excited?
Yeah, I think for me, there's a couple areas. I think the number one area for me is helping personal development. I love mentoring. I love coaching. I love connecting people and helping people. I get so much more gratification out of that than like personal achievement. So, and that is a never ending goal. I have not interacted with that many people. If you think about the entire world, there are millions, billions of people that I will never get to meet. But if I can help anybody that is interested in getting help with, and I can make a small difference. Help them with their resume, help them get into a school they want, help them pick a career path. If I can do any of those things, that gets me jazzed up because you're making an impact probably on somebody's entire trajectory, on their career, on their life, on their happiness. And that's a never ending thing. That doesn't end when AI takes over lots of different things. That never ends. There will always be a human element to business and the work we do. So that's probably number one. Number two, I think the world has a lot of potential. I think we are nowhere near where we can be. And I don't even think we're leveraging all of the technologies we have today to their fullest. So until we are in a place where we are sustainable and we are at a place where we are truly creating a better world and leaving, I just had a child where I feel like when I pass, people are going to look back at this generation and say, hey, they left us in a better place. And I would say
Yeah.
most of the generations before, you would say potentially you've left us in a worse place. Lower resources, less, household living, not able to afford homes. I really think the next 20 to 30 years are going to be hopefully that tipping point where we can start to say, hey, that next generation is going to be even better off than we were. And then the last piece is, it might be a little ego, but I want to make my mark, and I don't think I have
Yeah.
yet. I think I've I've had some small wins, I've had some success, I've helped some people, but have I lived up to my full potential as an individual? And I don't think I've done it yet. And I'm going to keep pursuing that. And hopefully, the day I die, I say I haven't done it yet either, because that yardstick just keeps moving. So hopefully that keeps pushing me. But those are kind of my core three that get me excited every day.
I love it. I love it. Um, One last very random question. What do you do when you are not working?
Yeah. Huge. Well, as you might be able to tell, I'm very competitive. Like, I like to measure things. I'm the KPI guy. I like results. So any competitive situation, sports, games, board games, they get heated in the Beagle household. We actually have a family get together on Saturday, and we're doing it Survivor style, where you play
Wow.
games and you win and you vote people off. So it's intense. So games, I'm a big Philly sports fan, big sports fan in general. I love football, basketball, hockey, baseball, soccer. I just love sports. I love the camaraderie. I love the black and white of it, of you either win or you lose. There's no in
Right.
between. And I've recently gotten to books, a lot of audiobooks, Audible, the e-libraries, reading different books in lots of different genres, and just enjoying that, and enjoying being a new dad. That takes up a ton of my time, but it's worth it. You see that smile every morning and you get that hug and that love. Um, it's undescribable. So that's kind of what I do in my spare time.
Are you sleeping? Are you getting enough sleep, or are you adjusting to where you realize that you can't sleep 3 hours a day and and you can still
So
go?
knock on wood, we have one of the best sleeping babies I think ever.
Wow.
She's been sleeping 12 hours slash through the night since about 8 weeks. So we put her to bed at 7 and she starts stirring at like 7 the next morning. So we are super lucky. My wife's a kindergarten teacher, so she's back to work. I work from home, and we have an amazing support system, both grandparents as well as we have a one-on-one for her 3 days a week. So it's been a dream so far. We do plan to have kids in the future. I don't know if we'll get that lucky again, of having such a great sleeper, but great sleeper, great eater. She's doing amazing.
You are at a great place. It's an amazing time of your life. I'm very happy for you. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your knowledge, your experience, your advice. This has been an amazing conversation, and I hope we can get to do this again in the future.
I love it. And I'm so excited to work together. I know we're going to be expanding our partnership with Copact and Exceed Solutions. And I love what you guys are doing as well. And I just want to help. That's my goal, is just to help people. And that's what I thrive off of. So thank you for having me on.